Big time middleweight banger on the main card of UFC 282. We have the Gorilla Darren Till taking on Stillknocks Dricus Du Plessis, the former EFC welterweight middleweight champ, the former KSW champ, a man who has a win over Roberto Soldic. And that's not easy to do unless you kick him in the cup, like it happened last week at One Championship in his debut. But Matt, for Dricus Du Plessis, enters the UFC in 2020, picks up a big win, and he hasn't looked back. Beat Marcus Perez after withstanding an early storm. Beat Trevin Giles after withstanding an early storm. And his last time out had a fight of the night against Brad Tavares. And oh my goodness.
Wow, fight.
It's crazy because for Du Plessis, he attempted 6 takedowns, got none of them in the first round. In every Dricus Du Plessis second round, this is it. He's breathing completely out of his mouth. Everybody thinks that he's tired, but the craziest part about it is even though he attempted all those takedowns, he didn't get them. First round, he lands 14 significant strikes. Second round, he lands 39. Third round, he lands 60. He had an uptick in volume. It's wild to see that out of a fighter after expending all of that energy, but Du Plessis is just one of these weird anomalies out of Team CIT. His young teammate, 21 years old, Cameron Saaiman, competing on the undercard of this UFC 282 event. And Matt, for Darren Till, it's wild because he does still have a nice shiny record. I mean, it's what? 18-4-1. Started off his UFC tenure at 5-0-1. Since the title shot against Tyron Woodley, that was what? UFC 227. He's 1-4. He's been finished in 3 of those 4 losses. And in his last time out, not that Dricus Du Plessis fights anything like Derek Brunson, but in that fight, he had a little bit of success with the hands, but he got dominated on the ground.
Yeah, he really got the fight beat out of him in that Derek Brunson fight.
So for Till, we haven't really seen, much in the last performance.
What I will say, though, is I don't think Du Plessis can have the same level of wrestling that Derek Brunson did, because Derek Brunson's a guy who, we mentioned this a lot, like earlier on in his career, he was known as that knockout artist. He would come with a big storm, hit you with that big straight left, and guys couldn't withstand it. But as his career has progressed, his striking has probably regressed a little bit, but he's definitely fallen back on his wrestling a lot, and he is a talented wrestler. Du Plessis is a guy who can go for wrestling, but I do think that Darren Till, he is a good counter wrestler. I know he's not a great defensive grappler once the fight does hit the mat, but he's a difficult guy to get down in the first place, and normally it does take kind of that top tier wrestler to really be able to implement their own grappling and get him down. Now, if Du Plessis hits him with a big shot like we saw Tyron Woodley was able to do, and I could see Du Plessis watching that Tyron Woodley fight and going back to it, because how did Tyron Woodley fight Darren Till? He walked backwards, he let Darren Till move forwards, and then he hit him with a big shot. Du Plessis is much more likely to move forward in this situation, but he knows that, hey, if I crack him with a big shot, he doesn't necessarily make the best decisions while hurt, and Du Plessis is a good enough grappler to where he could grab a submission, get one of those defensive guillotines. What I don't love out of Du Plessis is, though, he does have one obvious weakness that Brad Tavares was able to take advantage of. Brad Tavares isn't a powerful puncher by any means, but he is a technical puncher who throws good straight shots, and he was able to land with consistency on Du Plessis, especially earlier on in that fight. You could see a world where Darren Till is able to move backwards, be able to counter him with that straight left, get in on the inside with the elbows. But this is such a sink or swim fight for Darren Till. Like, if he loses this, I don't genuinely know what the UFC is going to continue to do with him, because he's been at the top for a very long time. I know he's still young in his career, like you had mentioned. He has a good record, and he's only lost to really good fighters. But he's gotten into the point now where when you book Darren Till, you can't really book him against just some Joe Blow off the street. You have to kind of give him these difficult matchups.
Like, for Du Plessis, he was 20 years old in 2014 when he lost to Gareth McLennan. And that was Gareth's step into the UFC to then lose to Bartosz Fabinski. But for Du Plessis, he's been in the minds. He's been in the MMA fans' minds for a very, very long time. International star is Dricus Du Plessis, and he attracts a lot of fans as it goes into fight week. But when you look at it for Du Plessis, he likes the blitzes, and that doesn't work for hardly any fighter. But when he comes on with that storm, he lands a lot of power and a lot of volume. He is a good grappler, but sometimes it takes him quite a bit to get those takedowns. He has a wonky gas tank. But the biggest thing out of Du Plessis, he has a really tall, high guard, and he leaves his body exposed a lot.
Darren Till does have a good kick.
For a guy like Darren Till, coming from that body kick, I mean, especially when he's out in the southpaw stance, it opens up the liver, and you can see that against a guy like Du Plessis, where he could get hurt to the body. But for Darren Till, his last win was at UFC 244 back in November of 2000. And what was that? 19. So it's been a really long time. Also, Edmen Shahbazyan's last win, who's also on this card. But if you look at it for Till, he switched up his camp a lot lately. Now, he used to be Team Calbon, which was Tom Aspinall, Mike Grundy out of England. And then he went to All-Stars before the fight with Brunson, All-Stars after the fight with Brunson. But for this fight, he's been training at Tiger Muay Thai and also Bang Tao. So Bang Tao, he's been working out with Erik Spicely.
Be nice if that brought some aggressiveness to his style.
Erik Spicely aggressiveness?
No, not Erik Spicely, but going to Bang Tao. That would be nice if we saw more moving forward Darren Till.
So you have the Hickmans at Bang Tao, but at Tiger Muay Thai, he's been training with Marvin Vittori and also Sharapudin Magomedov, the 16-0 fighter over with RCC that just gets tons and tons of finishes. And I saw somebody call him Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's not funny. But if you look at Magomedov,
he's a Yu-Gi-Oh fan?
He's a what? No, just we're going to forget that I said that, but go look him up. He is a wild fighter. But if you look at it for Darren Till, I do like the fact that he's training and striking there because you're going to have to get ready for that aggressiveness out of Dricus Du Plessis. Till was due to fight Jack Hermansson this past summer. He fell out of that fight due to an injury. If you went over to his Instagram page, he showed his right knee getting drained, which was disgusting.
That's my problem with Darren Till. He's reaching like the Klay Thompson, Paul George era with his injuries to where you start to get worried about how much like peak capacity Darren Till is left. Because every time you do suffer a big injury, it might only take 1% away from you, but it takes a little bit away from you.
And the weird thing, like we said, he hasn't won since 2019.
He's had hand issues though, knee issues.
He wins that fight back at UFC, he beats Kelvin Gastelum about 4 years ago. Then he fights Robert Whittaker, and it's a loss on his record. That was a wild fight. It really was. And Till did have some successes in that one. And then he fights Brunson's primary wrestler. So style for style, this is a more winnable fight for Darren Till.
100%. Would you agree with me on this, though? For Du Plessis, this is a good precursor to getting him towards the top of the division because you're going to start facing a lot more technical strikers. Alex Pereira is licking his lips if Du Plessis ever comes up to him. Those wild blitzes do not work on levels of strikers to that degree, and that's what I do worry about with Du Plessis. Like, he is an extremely entertaining fighter to watch. Like, you're always going to want to watch this guy fight. He's going to eat power shots. He's going to deliver power shots. He has good cardio. Like, he'll get stronger as the fight goes on. Weird cardio, you're right. But we've seen in the UFC, at least, he has grown as the fight continues, and that's something you like.
It's like a middleweight Justin Gaethje in that respect.
Exactly, and that's a good place to put him. But in the middleweight division, again, at the top, like Robert Whittaker, he's going to time those blitzes and either take you down or kick you in the head. Alex Pereira, same thing. Israel Adesanya, like they are of that level. Darren Till's striking at one point was thought of as at that level, but I just wonder how much has been taken away from him with the inactivity, with him just not really having that once Darren Till confidence. Like Darren Till used to talk like Floyd Mayweather. It was like hard work, dedication stuff. And now he just like, I don't know. We've just seen a bit of a shift in Darren Till, and I wonder if that's something he can get back, or if he's entered the stage that, remember when Tyron Woodley just wouldn't throw punches anymore? Like, I wonder if we've reached that stage with Darren Till, because he hasn't looked like the same fighter who got himself to that title shot in the first place, and I think this is a great shot to get him back, to try to get him back to the fighter he was.
Du Plessis, the favorite, open -135, -170 or thereabouts. For Till, open +115, +135. It all depends on what Darren Till we get, really. Exactly. That's the question. We have a look at the Tapology votes, Matt. Surprise to us, they are to you. Du Plessis is the favorite, and Till's 1-4 in his last 5, so I'll say over-under 67.5% Du Plessis, because Till's a big fan favorite.
And that's why I think they're going to be closer to 50-50, so I'll say under.
867 total votes, 68% Du Plessis, 23% by decision, 61% by knockout for the 32% that have Till, 58% by decision, 34% by knockout. I think if Till gets a win, I think he could knock out Du Plessis. It's been done before. Obviously, McClellan's got the finish win over Du Plessis, but as well, Roberto Soldic. And Soldic is so good counter-striking, but also moving forward as well. And if you look at it for Till, he possesses some of those same skills. Now, I'd love to see Soldic fight Till, but it will never happen because one championship has that stranglehold. But if you do look at it for Till, I'm eager to see what wrinkles he's able to add to his game plan from training at Bang Tao as well as Tiger Muay Thai. Pop and popcorn for me. I'm really eager to see this one. I have Du Plessis ever so slightly just because I've seen the continued, not progression, but I've seen him continue to work his game plan into some of these fights that are similar to a fight against Till. But the thing that I like too, he's a good enough counter striker on the back foot, like we saw against Trevin Giles, like we saw with him over at the UFC and KSW, to where I think he can win this fight. But again, high guard, opens up the body, and I would think that they're going to try and work that in the Till corner.
I think Du Plessis is going to have to be really aggressive in this fight, and that's why I do have him in the matchup. But that's going to open up the window for Darren Till to land one of those big counter shots. I think it will be a very tense fight. There's some fights that you're watching where maybe not a lot's happening, but you're always worried that the next shot could be the last. This is going to be one of those fights, but I also have Dricus Du Plessis.
It's going to be one of those Louis Smolka fights, puckering your butthole.
Exactly.
Just getting ready for it, Matt. Both of us going with South Africa. Stillknocks, Dricus Du Plessis to get the win. I can't wait for this one. Let us know down below if you have Du Plessis or Till. You're not wrong until Saturday night. It should be a great one and a big-time fight coming up next. Robbie Lawler against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.